want to touch on certifications because I think this is a not a controversial area of the industry, but there's a lot of them, right? There's a lot of bodies giving out these certifications, and some you have to work hard for, some not so much. But in terms of your career path, you mentioned CISP earlier, right? I think ISC squared and the CISP accreditation certification is recognized out there along with CISM and some of the others out there. But in terms of practically being able to do your role, is there anything outside of the experience that you've had then from a certification standpoint that has helped you? You'd really go, yeah, I would invest a bit of time into that. It does help you when you get to X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like an entry level requirement to have some kind of certification, right? I got lucky. I got a C risk when I was doing the risk work at BP that came through, and I managed to convince them that I had enough experience to get my C risk by experience. So
nice.
Don't quite know how I did that, but I did. Yeah. But when I was looking to to take on a CISO role, I looked at what qualifications are in all the job descriptions, and there was I think it was the CISM and the the CISSP, and I remember from my days at BP that there were a number of people doing the CISSP, so I thought that's the thing to do. So I had a look and worked out what needed to be done and did it. I think the problem with them, though, is that, they all require 5 years of relevant experience. And so they're not the be all and end all. But so I think you've got to build as you go on, some of the things that require no experience. So if you're starting off in cyber, going, whatever field you want to go through, pick a certification in that and do it. There's some that are virtually for free. And then build on that relevant experience so that you can get that 5 years of experience. But I think it also creates a barrier to entry that is an unreasonable barrier to entry. But the recruiters require it, and people who write job descriptions think it's a good idea to put a certification on there. And so if you don't have one, you get filtered out. So yeah, I've got a bit of an issue with that. I don't think it's the right way, but you know what? They make a lot of money out of these things, so I think they push them. And here's the other thing that I probably shouldn't say. I've let all of my certifications expire because I don't think that there's any long-term value in them. So I don't use them behind my name, but I do say that I've achieved them. So yeah.
I don't think you're alone there, Nick. There's so many in the community now that lack the appetite to revisit going through that because it's hardship, right? It's not easy. These things don't just don't just sit there and get handed a certificate after a week. It doesn't work like that. It's some of them have a proper structure of completion. You're not alone. I've actually got a really good friend who I'm trying to get involved in the alliances in the UK. He's someone I've played cricket with since I was 10. And I had no idea what he did until we were actually at the funeral of one of our former teammates, our old captain, actually. And I asked him what he was doing. He said, I work in something called cybersecurity. I was like, all right. I said, funny enough, I said, I am on the fringes, but not hands-on. He said, oh, really? And I sort of relayed what we're doing with the communities of the alliances and things. And he said, I head up cloud globally for cloud security globally for Johnson & Johnson. I was like, what? I never knew it. He did it. But we were talking about certifications because the South Africa group were actually having a bit of a debate on it at the time. And he said, I've done them all. I've done all of them, but I just won't pay for the cert. I'm not interested. I'm competent because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
To have a certificate, it doesn't matter. And I think he's like one of the only people on the team that doesn't have CISP, and he's like point blank refusing to the new group CISO over there that I won't do it. All the experience I've got, I refuse to do it. It's interesting, isn't it? But I do think it's that age-old debate of does the certificate prove competency, or does doing the certificate gain competency? I don't know, right? I think with this industry, it's too experience-led to pigeonhole into relying on just those or just the other side, possibly. I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, I certainly learned something going through the certification. I didn't know much about cryptography. I didn't know much about network security, so I learned some new stuff. So that was valuable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like it's a tick in the box entry requirement. It gets your CV into the pile on the right side of the table, and that's about it. Not that may not be everybody's view of the world, but that's my view.
Yeah, no, fair. Important. That's great, Nick. I really appreciate your time, mate. Believe it or not, this is the first time we've spoken, and we're going like a house on fire. So that's great. So I really appreciate it, mate. And yeah, look forward to meeting you in person in the not too distant future, mate. But thanks for your time. Thanks for your
Thanks. Yeah,
authenticity on
appreciate it.
this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
No, anytime, mate. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks to all the listeners. Hope you enjoyed. Take care.
Cheers, everyone.